Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I have a story that's not only about facing fears, but about the surprising strength you can find within yourself when you need it most. It's a story that reminds us all no matter how afraid we feel, we're always braver than we think. So, let's meet Ravi. Ravi was a thoughtful kid, curious about the world around him. Every morning, he'd wake up to the sound of birds outside his window, stretch, and think about the day ahead. He loved learning new things, especially in subjects like math and science. But there was one part of school that left him feeling tense: speaking in front of people. While he could solve math problems in his sleep, just the thought of standing in front of his class made him nervous. He could imagine his classmates' eyes on him, watching his every move, every word. One Monday morning, Ravi walked into class, not knowing that this was going to be the start of a big change in his life. Mrs. Sharma, their kind but firm teacher, stood in front of the classroom and made an announcement. "Class, today we're starting a special project," she began, smiling. "Each of you will prepare a presentation on a topic that I'll assign, and you'll present it to the class next Monday. This will help everyone practice speaking and sharing ideas." As soon as Ravi heard the word presentation, his heart sank. He immediately felt his palms get sweaty. He thought, "Why me? Why do I have to do this?" He glanced around and saw that some of his friends looked just as uneasy, while others seemed excited, even eager to get started. But for Ravi, it was hard to even breathe. That night, Ravi lay in bed, wide awake. He couldn't shake the image of himself up there in front of everyone, forgetting his words, his voice shaking, maybe even making a fool of himself. He sighed deeply, thinking, "Why does school have to be so hard sometimes? I wish I could just skip next Monday." The next day, he found himself unusually quiet. Even his friends noticed. During lunch, his best friend Amma nudged him. "Hey, Ravi, are you okay? You seem different today." Ravi hesitated, but finally opened up. "It's the presentation. I'm so nervous. I just don't think I can do it, Aman. Everyone will be staring at me, and what if I mess up?" Aman put a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Don't worry, Ravi. We're all going to be up there. No one is perfect. Besides, you're really smart. Just talk about what you know, and you'll do great." Even with his friend's encouragement, Ravi couldn't shake the anxiety. That evening, he went home and sat on the living room couch, his head in his hands. That's when his older sister, Priya, walked in and noticed something was off. Priya was his role model, smart, confident, and fearless. She'd given plenty of presentations herself and even won a few speech competitions. To Ravi, she was everything he wished he could be. Priya sat down beside him and asked, "Hey, little brother, what's bothering you? You seem like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders." Ravi looked down, embarrassed, but finally opened up. "I have to give a presentation in class, and I'm terrified. I don't think I can do it, Priya. I'm just too scared." Priya listened carefully, nodding with empathy. She then shared something that surprised Ravi. "You know, Ravi, I used to feel just like you. I wasn't always confident. I would get nervous too, afraid that I might forget my words or make a mistake. But over time, I realized something important. It's okay to be scared. Confidence doesn't mean you don't feel afraid. It just means you decide to try anyway." Ravi looked up at her in shock. "Really? You were scared too? But you always seemed so brave." Priya smiled. "Bravery isn't about not feeling fear. It's about facing it, little by little. And here's the good news. You don't have to do it alone. Let's practice together. I'll be your audience, and you can take it one step at a time." Over the next few days, Priya became Ravi's biggest supporter. She helped him break down his presentation into small, manageable parts. They worked together in the evenings, with Ravi practicing in front of her. At first, he could barely speak without stuttering. His hands would shake, his voice would tremble, and he'd forget entire sentences. But Priya was patient, cheering him on with each little improvement. One day, while they were practicing, Priya suggested, "Why don't you try to imagine that you're just telling a story to me, like you're just having a conversation?" This simple tip helped Ravi relax a bit, and he noticed he could get through a few sentences without feeling overwhelmed. The weekend before the presentation, Ravi felt a mix of excitement and fear. On one hand, he knew he had prepared as much as he could, but on the other hand, the fear of the actual day wouldn't go away. Priya saw the worry on his face and gave him one last piece of advice. "Remember, Ravi, everyone in that room is there to learn and to support each other. They're not there to judge you. And even if you make a mistake, it's okay. Just keep going. You've got this." Finally, Monday arrived. Ravi walked into the classroom feeling like his heart was in his throat. He took his seat, clutching his paper tightly, and waited as each of his classmates took their turns. When Mrs. Sharma finally called his name, Ravi felt as if the whole world had stopped. His legs felt heavy as he walked to the front of the class. He glanced up at his classmates and saw all those eyes on him. The old fear came rushing back, and for a moment he forgot what he was going to say. But then he remembered Priya's advice. "Just imagine you're talking to me, like telling a story." Taking a deep breath, he started speaking. At first, his voice was shaky. He stumbled over a few words, his hands trembling slightly, but as he continued, he found his rhythm. He saw his friend Aman smiling encouragingly, nodding along, and it gave him a strange sense of calm. He began to feel like he wasn't just speaking to the class, but sharing something meaningful, something he'd worked hard on. His voice grew stronger, his words came more naturally, and he even found himself making eye contact with a few friends. When he finished, the room was silent for a moment. Then Mrs. Sharma smiled warmly and started clapping. Soon, the entire class joined in. Ravi felt a wave of relief, joy, and pride all at once. He had done it. The fear was still there, but he had overcome it. As he walked back to his seat, several classmates gave him high fives and compliments. Aman whispered, "See, I told you you could do it." Ravi grinned, feeling a surge of pride. After school, Ravi couldn't wait to tell Priya. When he got home, he rushed to find her. "Priya, I did it. I was scared, but I didn't let it stop me." And everyone clapped. Priya hugged him tightly, her eyes full of pride. "I knew you could do it, Ravi. You've got so much strength inside of you. Remember this moment whenever you're scared in the future. You've already proved you can handle it." From that day on, Ravi looked at challenges a bit differently. He knew he would still feel fear, but he also knew that he could face it, step by step, just like he had with this presentation. He had learned that being brave didn't mean being fearless. It meant feeling scared and doing it anyway. So, if you ever feel nervous or afraid, remember Ravi's story. Take a deep breath, remind yourself that everyone feels scared sometimes, and take that first step. You might just surprise yourself with what you're capable of. Thank you for listening to this story today. I hope it inspires you to take on your own challenges with courage and resilience. We're all capable of more than we think, and sometimes we just need a little reminder.